good, y'all? Welcome back to my channel. It's your boy Reese, aka the Sideliner, and today we are back to finish off this NBA trade talk. So to kick off the video, we have Jakob Poeltl being moved from the San Antonio Spurs to the Toronto Raptors for Khem Birch, a 2024 protected first-round pick and 2 future second-round picks. This brings in a solid 7-footer for the Toronto Raptors and Jakob Poeltl. He's averaging 12 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, a block, and nearly a steal on 60% shooting. He could slide right in that starting center's position for Christian Koloko. He's a rookie. You no longer have to run small ball 5 with Pascal Siakam, have Thaddeus Young out there, Precious Achiuwa. Now you have a solid guy out there that can hold down your paint, protect the rim, rebound the ball. He's also no slouch when it comes to passing, so this is a solid pickup for the Toronto Raptors. Jakob Poeltl was a guy that was rumored to go to a few different teams, but the Toronto Raptors was the one that needed to make that call the most. Jakob Poeltl is a great addition to that team. There were talks of Fred VanVleet being moved, possibly OG Anunoby and Gary Trent as well. As you can see, those guys are still part of the core, so maybe the Toronto Raptors are trying to make that push into the playoffs so they can make another finals run. They are currently sitting at the 10th position in the East. Maybe this trade bolsters their defense and gets them up to that 7th or 8th position, but only time can tell. Next up, we have Thomas Bryant being moved on from the Los Angeles Lakers for Devon Reed and 3 second-round picks. He spoke on his role not being the same and being displeased since Anthony Davis has returned. Not much you can do about that. Anthony Davis is a top 75 NBA player of all time. Thomas Bryant just wasn't fitting the mold anymore, I guess, for Darvin Ham. But the way that he performed in the absence of Anthony Davis, that has to be stated, that has to be looked at for the Denver Nuggets, who also needed a backup center. They've been running DeAndre Jordan, who probably shouldn't even have a job at this point. Thomas Bryant provides the Denver Nuggets with solid rim protection, rebounding, and he can also stretch the floor a little bit. The Lakers get back a few second-round picks that they've desperately coveted for the past couple seasons. They've been wanting to hold on to those couple first-round picks. The 27, 29 picks they've been holding on to, the one they eventually traded for D'Angelo Russell in that package. Now they've acquired a few more picks for future possible trades. In a surprise 3-teamer, we have Jalen McDaniels from the Charlotte Hornets being sent to Philadelphia. Portland receives Matisse Thybulle, and Charlotte received Svi Mykhailiuk and multiple second-round picks. What this does for Portland, this provides them with wing depth that they've been needing for a few seasons now. We've got Jeremy Grant, who's a solid perimeter defender, but he's not the greatest. We had Gary Payton, who we just sent on to Golden State, who we'll get into in a couple minutes. We just needed a guy out there, a solid, who can lock down. He has lockdown ability. He can sit down and sit in front of a guard. He can give you a couple steals per game. He can go out there and get some blocks. Matisse Thybulle is a great addition for that wing position for the Portland Trail Blazers. I'm excited to see what he can do for us. Now, Jalen McDaniels was shipped to Philly for essentially just picks. I doubt they're going to miss Svi Mykhailiuk. He's having a career year in points. He went up from 6 to 10. Rebounds went up from 3 to 5. His steals have gone up. His assists have gone up. His free throw percentage is around 85% after a couple shaky seasons of that being in the low 70s. So he's improving. You can see the strides he's taking. This has been a career year for him. So in Philly, he should get some solid burn and learn and get better under the tutelage of Joel Embiid and Tobias Harris. One of the more surprising moves of the day, James Wiseman being moved on from the Warriors. We kind of expected it, but the package was lackluster. They essentially just swapped out a guy in Gary Payton II who never should have left the team. He should have just re-signed with the team, in my opinion. Bob Myers and those guys should have got that done last summer. But Gary Payton II is back on that team. He can come in and fit right in. He knows the system. There's not going to be a real gelling period. He can come right in. Still clamp down. He can fill in for Klay Thompson on that defensive role. He can take some of that off of his back. We know Klay is not the same defender that he used to be, although he still tries. Gary Payton fills that role for them. And then James Wiseman being moved on to Detroit. This kid was just the #2 overall pick a few years ago in the 2020 draft. He had stints in the G League that may have been longer than his time in the NBA. I'm just being honest with you. So it really wasn't a fit for Golden State to go and get a center who commands the ball as much as James Wiseman wants to. He wants to get the ball. He wants his touches. He wants to score the ball, but that's just not the system the Warriors run. They're a pass and go team. They need to get their three-point shots. They need Steph to get going. They need Klay to get going. They need all these guys to get the ball moving for their system to really work, and it just wasn't that for James Wiseman. Now, people shouldn't completely give up on Wiseman. He is only 21 years old. He's going to a young team with a promising core. In Cade Cunningham, you have Killian Hayes over there. They just shipped Saddiq Bey off in this trade to Atlanta. He would have been a great addition to keep on that team, but you also have Jalen Duran, who's been an exciting piece to see this year. You still have Isaiah Stewart, these young guys, these young promising guys in Detroit. James Wiseman could go out there and make a name for himself in the league. Saddiq being moved to Atlanta in this trade, that was probably the steal of this trade. It was a 4-teamer. Portland was involved in this as well. They got 5 future second-round picks and Kevin Knox, but that's not really much to be concerned with or speak on. But Saddiq Bey being moved into Atlanta, he can provide you scoring right off your bench, or he can slide into that starting lineup alongside of Trae Young and DeJounte Murray and still be just as well. He's averaging 14.5 points this season on 36% shooting from 3, 40% from the field, so there's room for improvement there, but his game shows signs of a solid scorer who can just come in and light it up if he's hot. You've seen games where he can go for 25. I think he may have had a 30-piece here or there. No, yeah, he did have a 50-piece last season, so Saddiq Bey is a guy that can get his when he wants to. It's just all about being consistent with this kid. Rob Pelinka and Jeannie Buss made another move. They got Patrick Beverly out of there and brought in another rim protecting center in Mo Bamba. This is a solid pickup for them. He's a guy that fits right into a LeBron James system. Grab the ball off the rim and get it to the guys. Rim running center. He's a solid, in my opinion, a great rim protector. For a 7-footer to only be averaging 5 rebounds a game, that's something that's just not really acceptable. It's the same thing for Kristaps Porzingis. He's a 7-footer. He doesn't really average that many rebounds. It's the same problem that he has. He's a true lob threat. That's also something that a LeBron James team really strives for. As you can see back in Cleveland when they had Tristan Thompson, now with Anthony Davis, you had the Chris Bosh connection in Miami. LeBron James is always like throwing his lobs, catching lobs as well. And Mo Bamba just provides another lob threat, rim protector, and another body just to deter players at the rim for Los Angeles. So the team down the hallway, the Los Angeles Clippers, they also made a deal this morning. They sent Reggie Jackson to the Charlotte Hornets for Mason Plumlee. They also shipped off a 2028 second-round pick. This move was essentially made just for a potential Russell Westbrook signing in the buyout market. You know, him and Paul George back in OKC, they were teammates, made a couple playoff runs. That's his boy, so he's recruiting Russell Westbrook to come out and play. He's recruiting Russell Westbrook to come out and play in LA, especially since they parted ways with John Wall. So now their guard depth needs some help, and Russell Westbrook provides just that for them. He's going to be a solid pickup for them. He was the leader for 6 men of the year for a while for the Los Angeles Lakers. In my opinion, he should have never been coming off the bench. Regardless of fit, you should have made that work, Darvin Ham, or they should have just traded Russell Westbrook back in the summer. You could have possibly got a better package, but I'm going into other things. Reggie Jackson will most likely be bought out on the market. He was rumored to be linked to the Miami Heat. The Heat are linked to everybody, so that just could be hearsay, she say. He could be a great facilitator. He can light it up. Solid playoff moments for the Los Angeles Clippers in the past couple years when they didn't have Paul George or Kawhi Leonard. Reggie Jackson is a guy that can go and get his. We've seen that when he was in Detroit. Reggie Jackson is going to be a great acquisition for any team out there. Like I said, the Clippers moved on from John Wall. They bought in Eric Gordon and 3 second-round picks. Luke Kennard was also shipped out in this deal to the Memphis Grizzlies. Eric Gordon was freed from Houston. That's something that people have been asking for a couple of seasons now. Get him out of Houston. The guy was just sitting there. Obviously, he was still producing, but Houston was not a place for Aaron Gordon. He could have been on a team. He could have been on a playoff contending team, making runs to championships the past few seasons, in my opinion. His talent has been getting wasted out in Houston. So I'm glad somebody made that call, and he's returning home to LA. Luke Kennard leaves LA, goes to Memphis. He's a great knockdown three-point shooter. Ja Morant will have another threat to kick it out to, alongside of Desmond Bane, to just light up the defenses whenever they collapse on him. So I really like that pickup for the Memphis Grizzlies. He's a bona fide sniper, one of the most revered shooters in the league. He's not really a system guy. He's, you know, with those quote-unquote shooters, they just come in and they get theirs. As long as somebody can get them the ball, they're going to get theirs, and Luke Kennard is that kind of guy. Get him the ball, he's going to knock it down for you. And rounding out the video, we have a couple more trades. Josh Richardson and Devontae Graham are being swapped from New Orleans and San Antonio. Richardson going on to New Orleans, Graham moving on to San Antonio. The San Antonio Spurs are able to take on that contract, seeing how they don't really have many they don't have any max players. Josh Richardson is a solid piece for any team, either coming off your bench or starting. You know what he can bring to the table. He's a consummate pro. He'll come in and he can come in and facilitate. He can run the 1 through 4, sometimes the 4. He can get you buckets. He's a playoff player. That is what Josh Richardson is, and that's exactly what these New Orleans Pelicans need, as they've been slumping these past month or so. While Brandon Ingram is trying to get back into things, they've had the CJ McCollum injuries, and of course Zion Williamson being out. So Josh Richardson is a great pickup for the New Orleans Pelicans. Then lastly, we see Darius Bazley being moved on to the Phoenix Suns. Another young, promising, lengthy forward wing out there that was on the market. Being reunited with Chris Paul on a Suns team that's gearing up to make another finals run. They've been slumping since Devin Booker's been out with injury. He's slowly coming back. Chris Paul had his couple injuries. Kevin Durant is out. We're waiting to see him return. Although that trade just happened, we're just so excited. Darius Bazley is a young guy with promising upside, and as you saw back when he played with Chris Paul, he had career years averaging 10+ points, and he was just looking like he was having fun. This year, he's having a career low in nearly every statistical category that you can think of. Even his minutes since his rookie season have gone down. So maybe Chris Paul can help rejuvenate this young kid's career and get him going back on the right track. But man, NBA trade deadline was one for the ages, and NBA season that's NBA season for you, bro. You just never know. Trade deadline, everything be popping off. So man, I'm your boy Reese, aka the Sideliner. We out of here.